Hello everyone, welcome back to Simplify. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention. This is not your typical list or explanation video. We're going to be diving into a deep topic, and it's one that I think everyone should be paying attention to earlier in life rather than later, because it can make a profound difference in your financial trajectory and your financial health over the course of a lifetime. Now, before we jump into the topic, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your support. Any additional support you can offer would be very helpful. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I, in particular, would love to hear some comments down below. If you want to hear about a certain topic or you have something to say about the message I'm delivering today, by all means, shoot a comment down below. I will get in touch, I will respond to each of you, and I really look forward to engaging. Now let's jump into today's topic. We are talking about one of the biggest financial traps that exists, but it's one that you've likely never heard of. It's something that's probably not on your radar, and it's not being addressed in the wider financial education community. Now, parts and pieces of this message are being addressed through very detailed steps on how to get from point A to point B, but I think it needs its own video. This topic is near and dear to my heart, and it's one that has made a profound difference for me. Now you might ask, what is the topic? Get to it. Well, here it is. It is living out the financial dreams of other people and not your own. Now, what do I mean by this? I think we all have come across videos that say, well, establish a very clear vision for your financial trajectory, write it down, make sure you're clear on your goals and what you'd like to achieve, and then follow that path. I think that's really healthy advice, and it absolutely is a part of a good foundation. The part that's missing here is really to spend some time making sure that that idea is coming from within. It's an idea that aligns with your values and your goals. Oftentimes, people are taking the ideas of others. They're establishing a goal because they've seen their favorite YouTuber pursue this goal, and they think it's a healthy goal to have. Individuals may not actually be spending the time to ensure that that goal aligns with the values that you hold. Now, the values that you hold determine all sorts of things about your life. The people you spend time with, the things you spend your time doing, the types of things that you promote and support. All of these things intertwine into a value system. Your financial goals have to be aligned with this value system. One example of this is when someone says, I want to be a multimillionaire by X age. Let's say that age is 30 years old. But on the other column in their value system, they also say, I enjoy a work-life balance. They also say, I want to have a healthy relationship, get married, and then have kids. They want it all. People want everything, but don't realize that all of these things individually take significant sacrifice. And so, depending on where you are in your life, it's very important to be super clear on what your expectations are, how those expectations align directly with your value system and how you want to live your life, and then establish a clear line of thinking around the goals that you want to achieve. Short-term goals, long-term goals, everything needs to be wrapped into this value system. Now, the trap here is pretty simple. A lot of people follow the goals of others. They hear about these goals, they pursue them because they think that that's what they want, because the person they're listening to, their mentor, or whomever they're engaging for content, is very passionate. They feel that passion. They haven't necessarily spent the time that it would require to evaluate whether or not that goal aligns with all of the things that they want to be doing in their life. I think we have a tendency to think that perhaps it's easier to get these things than we think. From the outset, we see someone who's made their fortune, who runs a successful business, and everything they do seems effortless. It seems to come easy. It appears on the outside to be a well-oiled system that's very functional and is probably not requiring a ton of day-to-day work. What we learn once we start doing the things that that person has done to get that thing or achieve that goal is the amount of work that's likely required to support that end state. That work is oftentimes at odds with the beliefs that we have about how we want to live our lives. I personally love going outside to mountain bike and to gravel bike. I also love audio equipment, and I'm a self-described audiophile. These two hobbies, they take a lot of time. I do the things that support these hobbies in the evenings after my work is done. And if I had a business and was on the hook 24/7 for support of that business, I might not be able to engage as much in these hobbies. That would be a sacrifice that I would have to be willing to make. Now, the same goes for your personal relationships. In some relationships, it's well documented early on what you're trying to achieve. And in that case, you and your partner might be on the exact same page about where you're going. The sacrifice is shared, and that can help you build a solid foundation and grow a relationship in a successful direction. But if you are not on the same page and you're dedicated exclusively to growing a business and your partner says, I love that idea, but I also want to have time with you and I want to have a child, those two things are at odds and they need to be worked out. And so the next time you see someone who you idolize, who you want to become, you want to achieve the goals that they've achieved, take very clear notice of the sacrifices that that person has had to make. And then make sure that those sacrifices align with the things that you're willing to sacrifice in your life. If they don't, that's perfectly fine. Pick a different goal. You can change just about anything about your financial goal to accommodate other things in life that you also want to achieve. Now, there's no judgment about any of these goals. Becoming super wealthy, having a family, deciding to be single and live in a van and drive across the country. These are all excellent goals, and every person has a different vision of how they want to live their life. So make sure you are aligning what you want out of your life with the goals that you set in your financial world. That's the only way you'll come out on the other end feeling solid, healthy, and like you've achieved something over a period of time. If you don't do this, you might wind up 20 years down the road feeling hopeless, feeling very empty, unfulfilled, like you've achieved a goal, but what else? What else should you have been doing? What did you lose? What was the opportunity cost, the thing that you lost by choosing one path and not the other? Do that evaluation before, not after. Super important point. I hope it resonates with you, and I hope you've gotten some value out of this message. If you have, again, let me know down below in the comments. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.